Testing, testing. 1, 2,
3, 4.
Welcome back, everybody, to... The thing is, right, I've been thinking about podcast names, and one thing I do always include in the tags is Pick a Pixel Podcast, because if for some reason people have maybe heard me talking about my podcast and they just happen to search it, then it will come up. I assume I haven't tried it. And the thing is, Pick a Pixel Podcast, the 3 Ps really flows, but I don't want this to be attached to my main channel. It's so annoying because that's actually a really good name. You could call it the Pick a Podcast, the Pixel Cast. That could be a good one. Maybe Pixel Cast. Ooh, making moves. But anyway, enough about me. We are back once again for the weekly installment of the Twin Brother podcast. We maybe have a separate sort of sub name to this series as well.
Twin Talk.
Twin Talks. That's a pretty good one. I mean, I'm sure it's probably been done a million times, but still, there aren't that many twins about, especially not non-identical to the extent to which we are. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Susie, of course, because if she hadn't reminded me, because basically I obviously asked you to record today. I was like, you rounds record a podcast. I'd actually been so busy. A few days ago, I was prepared to do this podcast. I even said in my previous podcast, my solo one that I uploaded on Sunday, Easter Sunday, you can go and check that out, that we were going to do one on Wednesday, ideally. And then I got really, really busy, and it wasn't until today, like an hour ago, Susie was like, brother podcast today? And I was like, oh yeah, it's Wednesday. And then I asked, you obviously obliged because you wanted to do it as well.
Wednesday, my dudes.
And we were going to wear the hats anyway, but Susie actually recommended we wear hats too, because apparently we look cool or something. But we won't see what's underneath the cap.
Because I let Matt and my dad cut my hair, and it is staying firmly on.
Well, okay, so I just want to say that Dad was cutting Tom's hair, and I was like, oh, can I do a bit just with the clippers, and just went over a little bit. Dad is mainly responsible for what's happened here. I wasn't trying to shape it or anything. I don't know if I should try and cut mine, though.
I think you should let me
Well, no, because here's the thing. If I cut it, I wouldn't do it like yours and just get shorter everywhere. What I'd do, I'd go short back and sides and try and blend it up. Like I did when I cut my hair 2.5 years ago. So basically, it was 2017, September, October time. I cut my own hair and then bleached it blonde.
Yes.
So there's that. And I actually, our old hairdresser, Sarah, I was going to say her full name, but Sarah. I'm just so used to saying her full name when we talk about her because there's
so many other
Sarahs. But Sarah, our old hairdresser, said I actually did a pretty good job considering I did it by myself. And it didn't look terrible, to be fair, in my opinion. Based on some of the trims you can see. You see people like going crazy now, just putting their hair in a ponytail and just, I tried to sort of emulate what treatment I've had over the years. Yeah, it was okay, but I'm still undecided whether or not to cut my hair because it's really long at the back. It's long everywhere, but I don't know. I can just wear hats at the moment. That's kind of what we're going for. But how have you been since last week? How's quarantine? Do you feel better? You feel better?
I've done more of my uni work, so I feel more in control. And I've realised.
Are you going back to uni?
Well, I don't know yet.
Wow. When was your initial 2-week break going to be?
Initially, it was going to be
ending
last
this week
and ending this week.
Okay.
And
going back next week
at the end of this week.
Yeah, but you won't be doing that, so you'll still be here every Wednesday, hopefully.
Yeah, for a while. I can always just even when you move out, I can come visit just for the Wednesday podcast, or we can film like 4.
Well, I suppose because what happens if uni is over?
If uni is over,
just back here.
I'm back here till September when I move back again.
And then uni starts again. Oh yeah, because So I
just graduate digitally.
Your last year, yeah. I mean, you'll probably have a graduation ceremony.
They've said they might do one in December.
Yeah, because they do something like post-grad ones in like November and that. Yeah. So.
Although they have said we're not graduating with the post-grads, they were like, we're not taking that from them. I was like, they've already graduated once. But
okay.
What I have found weirdly is that although I have more time to read.
Yeah,
I'm also reading slower, so I'm actually still reading the same amount because I'm reading slower to enjoy it more and take it all in and to take up the time.
Well, because you read you could read multiple books at once, and then you'll read half a book, not read it for 6 months, and pick it up again.
Yeah,
I first of all very rarely read a book, but once I've committed to a book, I don't read another book.
Oh no, because then when I get reader fatigue on one book, I just read the other one.
So I'm a better reader. I don't get reader fatigue.
No, on the rare occasion I do. Or
stick
sometimes I'm just like, today I'm feeling something more epic.
The
Today I'm feeling
Bible.
something more romantic. Yeah, I do. I read the Bible every day. Got Bible in a year challenge.
I did try that in year 8.
Same, and I
when we
got
were
2
12.
days in and I failed.
I got about a month in, but
Whereas-
then when you think like the novelty wears off, you're like, oh, I can realistically read the whole Bible if you read like 3 or 4 pages a day in a year.
It's 5 roughly.
Yeah, but then it's just is kind of samey.
But so far, I have managed every day this year, because I started on January the 1st.
What, reading the Bible?
Doing the Bible in a year challenge.
Oh.
So I read about 4 chapters of the Bible every morning, and have done.
So you're
every
a
day.
solid chunk way, like of the way through. You're a third through, basically.
Well, I've read the entire New Testament anyway, so it's just the Old Testament really that I'm like, wow, lots of lists.
It's weird because there are 99.9% of Christians haven't read the entire Bible, so it's weird that there's there's genuine just untapped stuff that they've always had access to, they just haven't read.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously one of them. I will never read the whole Bible. It's just I just won't.
Honestly, you can skip like all of Numbers and Deuteronomy.
Yeah, but anyway, this isn't a religious podcast, but there you go. Someone did actually ask us about our position religiously. I mean, we grew up in a Christian household, and we went to I was going to say Church of England. It's like a multiple Church of England Catholic school.
Roman Catholic Church of England voluntary aided.
Oh yeah, that.
RSCVA.
Yes. So Tom, you still go to church every week. I don't.
Well, online church.
Oh yeah, now.
Not breaking quarantine.
But I went to church every week up until I was about 12 or 13, at which point I kind of got independent enough to the point where I can say I'm not going to go every week.
And also YouTube happened about that time.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, I did start YouTube when I was 12. But also I was old enough to understand that I could make the argument of not everyone in our family goes to church, i.e. Mum, hi. Why should I? And you can't really argue with that logic. And then you and Dad would get used to me not going, and then I wouldn't go. Actually, I think the main...
Still go Christmas, Easter.
I make it a point because I do. And here's the thing, I still tend to... I want to strive to live by Christian values, religious values even, because a lot of religions have similar core values, and it's just the way I think of being a decent human being.
Yeah.
So a lot of people ask, they'll be like, are you going to raise your kids going to church? But, I mean, if I'm not going to church, I'm not going to force them to go to church, because for one, then I'd have to go to church. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to take values from, like I said, either Christianity or, Islam, whichever religion, because they all have very similar values in a lot of different ways, or in a lot of similar ways. Then if it just helps you live a good life and a better life and be a better person, then that's great. And the whole, dark hole, but if you get into the whole what do you believe thing, honestly, it's kind of tough because I don't know.
We can never know for sure.
Yeah. Well, but you are very sure in your faith.
Well, yeah, but faith isn't knowledge.
You would say, I've spoken to God multiple occasions.
Yes, and he speaks to me as well.
Yeah, and I can't say that, I don't think. And you could argue that that's because I'm not trying, or maybe I haven't noticed, or whatever. But it's just, it's a weird one, isn't it?
You know what they say? Don't say God is silent when your Bible is closed.
Well, because you are... It's weird because you are so sure of your faith that it's almost making me think, well, there must be something. You're not making it up.
I'm not.
But then again, if God is like all this, like is God... Could he not just... It's weird, though, because I'm saying, could he not just give you the thought of God, but then he's real anyway, because he's giving you the thought of God. So it's...
I think could he not just appear? And I'm like, yes, that was Jesus. Well done.
Yeah, so it's such a weird... And I don't want to stay on this for too long, mostly because obviously everyone has their own different opinions. We're not trying to push a narrative at all.
You're going to disable the comment section.
But yeah, to answer your question, we grew up in a Christian household, and I still, I take the values from that, but I don't actively... worship. If times are hard, I will pray, and even if it's just like it's similar to how a podcast can be a vent. Even if the act of praying isn't actually thinking I'm talking to God, this is my time with God, like a lot of people have a very much of a ritual with praying every time of day. For instance, they might make a whole thing of it, even if it's just a spiel that either God or no one or someone is going to hear, then it helps me. So I guess I kind of treat religion kind of selfishly, but I suppose like in the sense that if I need it or want it, it's there. But if I'm not going to church, basically, because if, in all honesty, when I was a kid, it kind of bored me,
crutch rather
because
than a wheelchair.
it was like I wasn't inspired by the services, because there's only so much you can do, and also around the time when I definitely stopped going to church completely is when I got into my first serious relationship, and I was with her at the weekends. And they didn't go to church, so I'm not going to go to church. I'm going to be with her. I'm going to be, so it was more just kind of, it wasn't a priority in my life, and that's how it stayed.
I used to just abandon Alex and go to church, and I'd come back and he wouldn't have moved.
Yeah.
Just still be asleep.
Yeah. So whereas I never did that.
That's because he always came to me. So
yeah. So there's that. I would always spend my time at her house and all that. So that's why it just kind of didn't really fit in with my life. But no hate towards it. No hate to anyone who believes any sort of thing. Really, believe it doesn't affect me. That's the way I see it. Your belief. Unless in the name of God you try and murder me, then I'll probably have an issue with you.
I would say faith is personal. I wouldn't say it's private. I think it's, if someone asks what do you believe, I think you should be able to say so. Yeah. But I do think it is personal, and it shouldn't really affect other people.
Yeah, it's weird because I remember
it shouldn't negatively affect anyone else.
Everyone, whenever you're kids, everyone would just always ask you the blanket question of, "Are you religious?" And it's kind of like, yeah,
in a way,
but
no.
But like, I'm not. No, I don't know. Like, so anyway, that's that.
Cool.
But yeah, big.
We were also asked favorite ice cream flavor, if you want to go there.
I mean, I can't remember when I discovered Ben and Jerry's, but I know for a fact I was late to the party.
I think it's because Hannah went to uni and discovered Ben and Jerry's there.
Right. Hannah's our older sister.
Because our parents just clearly
didn't love us.
Is what I was going to say, but I didn't want to be the one to say it.
I knew you were thinking it.
And so didn't expose us to Ben and Jerry's. And then Hannah discovered it at uni, and I think kind of introduced it to us then, because originally chocolate brownie was my favourite flavour because it was the only one I'd had. And then I decided it was a bit rich and went more cookie dough, fish food area. Then Sofa Switch It Up is really good because it's like Oreo and cookie dough together.
Oh, it sounds so good.
It's so good. So I'd probably say my favourite is either just the classic cookie dough or the Sofa Switch Up one. Sorry, I think fish food's just a little bit... I think it's just a bit too much going on.
See, for me, it's definitely not. I'm the kind of guy that likes rich stuff. I love fish food. The marshmallow is so good, but then you get the caramel, and then you get the fish.
It's just too much.
All of it is so good. It's so good. But speaking back to like when we were growing up with food and stuff, there's a very clear correlation from me independently choosing what I eat versus what mum and dad gave me compared to my weight gain. Because it was... when we started secondary school, there's just such a change. For us, it was year 7 to year 8 was the jump from middle school, primary school to secondary school. Yeah. So we finish year 7, just turned 12, and then we go to year 8, okay? Yeah. And new school, new independence, and we do things more by ourselves. So it was at that point, and we just started getting like some proper pocket money, like have access to funds, which when you're a kid just goes on food.
Absolutely.
And
books.
I was sort of thin up until like year 5, 6, and then it got a little bit like chubby. Yeah, but I was still young. It was
like cute chubby.
But then like year 8 and 9, I got fat, and that was because we'd like after school we'd go home and Tesco would have the like 20 pence chocolate bars, and they were big as well, and we'd just buy 3. We didn't
we used to buy like £1's worth.
Yeah, and then it went up to
was Hannah's
it
fault
eventually got to like 30 pence, which meant we could still get 3 bars, and I'd have guaranteed one by the time I get home. Yeah, they were 10 blocks, and they tasted cheap, but I loved the taste.
Honestly, me too.
I loved the cheap taste, and you could just eat so much of it as well because you're almost eating just like air, but it's like
but just fat air.
Yeah, it's so
it's just
weird.
Inhaling fat and sugar.
It's so weird, but now it's food is very much not a constant struggle because I feel like I've got it on lock. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't eat. Yeah, I don't eat clean every day, and I do binge a little, like I did on Easter, but that's Easter. But I now allow myself or afford myself to eat unhealthy foods. But now I'm at the stage where, because I've been calorie counting for so long, I can calorie count sort of intuitively and look at something and be like, that's about that much. So even when I eat bad, I count the calories and think,
oh gosh. I mean, I don't know about you. I only finished my Easter chocolate this morning.
So I finished it on Easter morning. So there we go.
You had more than me, actually.
Well, okay, so here's you know what? Let's just go through what I ate. It was about half an hour time slot, and this is I have a real capacity for binge eating. I have had like issues, and you don't gain like 4 stone in a year without sort of going overboard. And so it was Easter morning, and I had a big double-decker egg, like the big egg. I had that egg, the 2 double-deckers with it. And then I had a Cadbury egg, so another egg, but slightly smaller.
Yeah.
And then 2 bags of Dairy Milk Buttons, and that was in about half an hour. And I just kept eating. I couldn't stop. Thing is that if I got one egg, if I had one egg only and ate that in, say, 15 minutes, I would have been fine. It's just,
It was there.
I don't know. I was happy that I had the chance to kind of binge a little bit and it'd be okay because it was Easter. Because for the most part, obviously, because you don't go through such a weight loss transformation as I did without
Multiple
it.
times.
Yeah, for the most part, the last 7-8 months, I've eaten clean. But then again, I've had Domino's. I do have bad foods, but now I'm getting better at balancing it. And also, because I weigh myself daily, although it's not a good habit to be like,
I do it weekly.
Oh, I'm up a pound, down a pound. But then again, because I've weighed myself daily so much, I'll step on and be like, I know I'm going to be 3 pounds heavy today. Either I've drunk an amount, or I just know I've held that much because I can feel it, and I'm pretty accurate each time. So
it's always a surprise for me.
Exposing myself to it, I know what my body's doing. So that way, seeing a 5 pound increase, it doesn't freak me out.
I'm actually the same weight now I was when I first came home, but I lost like 5 pounds in the first 2 weeks of quarantine and gained 5 pounds in the second 2 weeks of quarantine.
So, I mean, that's fine. I mean, really, I think it's getting the balance between eating food you enjoy but not gaining too much weight. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if I can stay the way I am now, maybe I won't be like shredded, because I did have a really good 6-pack before quarantine started, and now it's just like
meh,
a 4-pack that needs some lighting. But if I could just stay here and be fit and healthy and just feel good and feel, it doesn't matter if I have like 10 pounds of fluff, they call it, and that doesn't affect my health. And it was always originally my goal was to be in the healthy BMI range, and now I have been in the healthy BMI range since 12 stone 10 is my healthy BMI range since the middle of January.
Right, in which case I'm on the cusp.
Well, see, because
12 stone 10 is the healthy. I'm on the cusp.
Before Christmas, I just dropped into the healthy range. Christmas happened, straight back into overweight, and then so since mid-January, despite falling off a little bit, binging sometimes, I've been a healthy weight since January. And so that's kind of like, it's like mini yo-yoing in the sense I'm maintaining but going up and down a little bit, but that I can cope with. And now, because this time around I've been so focused on nutrition and so focused on tracking everything, thanks to this Fitbit, which I've never had in my previous weight loss transformations, it's easier for me to maintain it because I know what's going on. Whereas before, I'd lose a bunch of weight, not really know how. I'd know how I did it. I move more than I eat, but it's hard to be like, why have I gained weight, or for what reason have I gained this weight? Whereas now I know how many calories I'm eating every day. If I eat 5,000 in a day and I'm very active and burn 4,000, I might put on half a pound, which is fine. So I feel good this time about that. Anyway, about my weight loss situation, which I think I will make a video on at some point. A separate little. I want to do main. Do you remember my old Far From Film videos at all?
Well, that's very vague.
So like I do, because nowadays all the rage is 10 minutes at least for the ad revenue that doesn't exist because YouTube's going through a crisis as well as the rest of the world. But it's 10+ minute videos, all that. Whereas
I don't have that attention span.
Back in the Far From Film days, it was like 4 or 5 minute videos, jump cuts, and everything's exciting, or you're doing a challenge.
No time to breathe.
Like we did. Yeah, like when you watch it, you don't see them breathe.
Do you remember the cinnamon challenge?
Did we do it together?
You did it, I did.
Yeah, okay, so that was, believe it or not, my 500 subscriber special on this very channel. I think it's up on this channel. I think you can.
Not a flattering thumbnail.
Well, no, yeah, because I wanted the money shot, the cinnamon to be like spewing everywhere. That was my 500 subscriber special. Do you remember? Because I forgot this challenge ever existed until I heard a mention of it, I believe, in a podcast. The salt and ice challenge.
Yeah, you burn your hand.
Yeah.
I never did it because I thought it was stupid.
I did it.
I thought you were stupid, so I didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's weird because obviously salt and ice, both individually, aren't painful, aren't harmful, really. I mean, salt, if you eat a lot, that's not good, but yeah, the things, touching them isn't bad. So I think as a kid, at least, it was the fascination of, how am I creating so much pain? It's like, my hands have the power, and it's
I'm pretty sure a woman ended up going to hospital because she did it on her chest.
Oh yeah, there were people that sort of
people.
lined it along their arms and did stuff like that. I never did it, just the hand.
Do you remember the knife challenge?
The knife challenge.
Like, I have all my fingers. And
yeah.
Chop, chop, chop. I did it with a pen.
People in school, would do it with a pen.
I'm like, if I can't even do it with a pen, I'm not doing it with a knife. Yeah. I'd probably not be here.
That's the
thing.
Yeah.
No fingers.
Oh yeah, that was, some of those videos were absolutely crazy.
uncomfortable. It's like the blood was everywhere. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah, definitely people chopped off some fingers or something with that. Just
Great
cut
story to tell
themselves
the
up.
grandkids, but I got a video of it
Yeah,
for my 255 subscribers.
I'm trying to think what we used to, like, what videos you featured in the Far From Film
I did
days.
Chubby Bunny Challenge.
Challenges. Oh, the Chubby Bunny Challenge. I was always really bad at those challenges. I remember when the five of us, me, Tom, Hannah, our sister, who's mentioned, and Mum and Dad, we did the Malteser challenge.
Oh yeah.
And I came dead last.
Yeah.
With Mum, I think, like joint last. I could fit like 11 in my tiny mouth.
Didn't Dad have like 30?
I think he did
something
26.
stupid? Yeah, 26.
But I think now I could probably get like 22, maybe. But I don't think I had a small mouth.
22.
I think I was just, I don't know. I wasn't small. I've never been considered a small child just because of how small you were. I was always the
comparison.
big one, but I mean, as a baby, I was slightly underweight.
Yeah, it's just I was really
and
underweight.
Tom was just really small. But yeah, now the momentum shifted because for the last couple of years we've been somewhat on the same level, apart from me last year when I went a bit off the rails.
A little bit.
That was not ideal, but yeah, that's pretty mad. So I do have something that I wanted to sort of discuss with you. It's actually, again, inspired by what Susie messaged me. She asked maybe we talk about like our favorite drama show or something. It was drama show, she said, but I have a question based on something we kind of touched on recently. We've spoken about like old Disney Channel shows, and we were talking on our walk today about childhood and stuff. So I'm just curious if you could rank top 3. So you're going to be leaving out some classics here, but your top 3 on the spot Disney Channel TV shows.
Does this include Jetix that became Disney XD? Because technically Disney owned Jetix.
Are you going to say
the whole
American
time?
Dragon?
Yes.
I'm gonna we'll shout out to American Dragon, but we're gonna keep it to like the strictly Disney Channel kind of.
Okay.
Phineas and Ferb is not XD though; it just went to XD. So.
Oh, I thought we were doing old school though. Phineas and Ferb's not old school.
Favorite TV shows?
Because I
just,
would definitely
just with
say
with a thought to old school.
Phil of the Future.
Okay.
Phil of the Future, I thought was.
You really loved that, didn't you?
I loved Phil of the Future.
You have a crush on Phil?
Yeah. And do you know what? He's actually, funnily enough, he's actually not straight though. If you go on his, not that I follow him or anything. But, and so Phil of the Future was great. I actually quite enjoyed Lizzie McGuire.
Okay.
Because
you crush on Gordo?
no, because the dad was just like
our dad, yeah.
And the mum was just like Sarah, who we mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And and that representation, Gordo was Jewish, they had a younger brother called Matt who was annoying, and Lenny who just didn't speak.
Matt is the guy who inspired me to be called Matt, because my name is Matthew, but I remember when Matt on Lizzie McGuire was called Matt, I said to everyone in this household, I was like, right, I'm going to be called Matt now.
And Mum refused for ages.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Matthew to Matt is the logical and normal transition. It just took Lizzie McGuire to show me that it was possible.
So I would definitely say Phil of the Future is on there.
Okay.
Recess, I think,
Recess.
if that is an option.
So good. Are all these shows available on Disney Plus?
I think a lot of them are actually.
Because I keep seeing adverts for Disney Plus, mostly the Simpsons ad, because I mean, having the whole library of the Simpsons is quite a pull. But then I saw a vlog of someone there watching Hannah Montana on Disney Plus, and I'm thinking maybe I'd take the plunge, but then again, would it make me
Sweet
really?
Life of Zack and Cody.
That's going to be on one of my lists. Yeah. Would that make me really unproductive? Because even in this quarantine, I haven't really watched any more TV than I normally would.
Neither.
I don't really watch TV. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, but I do that before quarantine. I'll do it during quarantine, and I'll do it after quarantine. That's like my entertainment. I just worry if I get Disney Plus, either I won't use it, or I'll just use it too much.
Was Lloyd in Space Disney Channel, or was that?
Ooh, it was. That's not a
But
favourite
really.
of mine. It's
That's
just the memory
it's just
that we
memory,
have.
yeah. So I think my top 3, because American Dragon doesn't count, would be Phil of the Future, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and Lizzie McGuire.
Okay, right. Oh, this is tough. I haven't thought about it. Like, I'm not saying I'm prepared for this to try and put you on the spot. I'm trying to think. It has to be Recess as one. I love
Recess.
that show so much. It's so funny. I think because we related so heavily.
So clever.
Because we were at school.
Like, looking back on it, how clever it was.
Yeah. And again, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, it was always the twin dynamic as well, because you were so much like Cody, and I was so much like Zack.
Yeah.
And we just were like that. And
again, representation.
Obviously, every young boy had a crush on Maddie at the time that wasn't gay. I did. I think.
Did you?
But also Alex from Wizards of Waverly Place,
Oh, I
Selena
forgot
Gomez.
Wizards of Waverly Place.
That's a solid shout, isn't it?
Oh,
drop your Disney Channel
Wizards
shows.
of Waverly Place might have
in
to
the
overtake
comments.
Lizzie McGuire actually, because I had a crush on Mason.
Of course you did.
He was English.
He's kind of like
He was
Alex.
hot and English.
He's kind of like Alex.
not Alex from Wizards of Waverly Place though. You mean
No,
Alex
he's
as
like
in-
Alex and your ex-boyfriend.
So yeah, Wizards of Waverly
Solid.
Place.
Well, see, I'm gonna drop some bombs. There's That's So Raven is a good
I
one.
thought about that.
It's a good
I thought
one.
about that, and I just not quite.
Even
It's
Sweet
really
Life
good.
on Deck.
Even Corey on the House was all right. Actually.
Corey in the House is just like amusing, but if we're
Yeah.
if we're being specific for top 3, it doesn't get close. But
I think Sweet Life Zack and Cody was better than Sweet Life on Deck, but
Sweet Life on Deck to me was good. It was only good because of Sweet Life Zack and Cody,
Yeah.
because we liked the characters. But I just love the fact they were all around the world. It just made it so interesting to watch.
But at the same time, there was no Esteban, there was no Arwen.
Esteban made appearances.
Yeah, he made one appearance. Arwen made one appearance in the
I think
Greek
I know for
episodes.
sure Sweet Life Zack and Cody has to be on Disney Plus.
It is.
So I might. Oh, there's so many. So that's the thing. I didn't watch enough of like OG shows like Phil of the Future. I watched it a lot, but I think recency bias comes into it a little bit. Lizzie McGuire again, a great show. But I think Sweet Life, that stands tall for me. Recess at the moment, given that I don't think of another one. Wizards of Waverly Place was so good.
Yeah, I'd put that there.
I really enjoyed Hannah Montana though. Like watching Hannah Montana as well.
Hannah Montana. Who is it?
I prefer Wizards of Waverly Place over Hannah Montana, so
Yeah.
I think that means Hannah Montana's out. I really liked Jessie, but I was just getting to the age where I was older and therefore not watching as much TV.
And Cameron Boyce is dead. So that's really sad.
It's tragic, yeah. But if I'm thinking Jessie versus Recess,
Or Recess.
probably Recess. Recess is standing strong. Sweet Love Zack and Cody, Wizards of Waverly Place, Recess. Is that my final 3? What other ones
Wait, so
were
we've
there?
got the same final 3?
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's a household thing. Kim Possible was good.
Oh.
It's a solid one as well. I don't think I watched enough of that because I can't remember really any episodes.
DNA Me, Dr. Draken. I mean, just because the voice.
Yeah, the voice.
Shigo.
Yeah.
Because Shigo just reminds me a little bit of me now that I'm old. Like,
Right.
where she was just so unimpressed. Like, oh my gosh, like surrounded by idiots. You know, like when she finally took over the world, and Ron escaped the friend zone, and Rufus, naked mole.
He was like your thing.
Oh,
You loved Rufus.
I think. Oh no, but I would still stick with my
Phineas and
top
Ferb
3.
though.
I'd stick with my top
Phineas
3.
and Ferb is huge.
Do you know what? I keep
That's
getting,
like
for the
that,
past
that's the
week,
one I contend with against Recess.
For the past week, I've had the Backyard Beach song in my head. Every time I wake up, I'm like, "There's enough people in the beach."
Oh,
Phineas
see,
and Ferb
see,
in the
I
backyard
occasionally
beach.
scroll through
Everybody
TikTok,
Phineas
and
is
there's a
gonna say,
troll.
"Hey."
There's a troll. There's a trend of the dude. We're getting the band back together. Do 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 do. You're the one who sets the bar. The hairdo king, the fashion star.
You're
And there was
fabulous. I'm
there was
fabulous.
one. This guy was being the guy they were singing to as coronavirus and all the other diseases in the world. He was like, "We're getting the band back together." And like Ebola, AIDS, the Spanish flu are all going. You're the one who sets the bar. And he's there as coronavirus. Like
That's
this.
quite bad.
It's
That's
not
very
bad, it's a
tasteful. It's not very
joke.
tasteful joke.
Whoa, but it's a joke. It's
Yeah, I know.
funny.
You laugh or cry.
No, but yeah, I just think it's light-hearted comedy. And then there's other people saying like, you know, when I go back to university, and it's like, dude, we're getting the band back together, and then it's like depression,
Yeah.
all these other things, anxiety, and they're all just like dancing, like yes. Yeah, that's another thing.
Phineas and Ferb would be one of Dad's top 3.
True. Yeah, he always just goes, "Where's Perry?" Whenever it's mentioned, he just says that. But I think only because of it's more recent, so I think that they worked harder at captivating an audience, and the episodes were bigger and more colourful.
Is that
I think
Phineas
Phineas
and
and Ferb overtakes Recess, but Recess for nostalgia is huge, and
Yeah.
it is.
And I wonder if maybe that's
Here's
why.
the thing: I almost don't put it in my top 3 because if I have to compare it to something, I probably have to compare it to a cartoon. But I'd almost go as far to say Recess is kind of my favourite, but doesn't make the top 3. It's weird.
It's in its own bracket, like American Dragon
Yeah.
is for me.
Yeah,
Partly because American Dragon's not
because I probably would put Phineas and Ferb because the music in Phineas and Ferb as well.
Bowling
is
for Soup.
So good. It's so good. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, but then again, I don't know if that's just nostalgia speaking because I really love Sweet Life on Deck.
And She's a Keeper in the basement. That's from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
It's true. And then Wizards of Waverly Place was good, and I really loved the movie as well. Wizards of Waverly Place, the
enjoyed
movie. I think I might have cried. I cry a lot of
You cry
movies.
at everything.
First movie I remember crying at was Pokemon, the first movie.
Oh, with Pikachu.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you might
And
think
all the
I'm
Pokemon
weird
are
if I'm crying, but every single Pokemon in that scene was
Even
crying.
the people are crying.
And you don't get it if you
Except
haven't
for
seen
Mewtwo,
it.
who's just there like
I'm cool.
whatever. And Mew's like,
They've remastered that movie.
I need to
haven't
see
they?
the remaster.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it,
but
but I want to watch it.
There's that. And
I haven't seen Pikachu
I
Detective
would go as far. Neither have I. I would go as far to continue and discuss like Nicktoons, Nickelodeon, and all that. But realistically, for me, it's just SpongeBob and Drake and Josh, and that's it. Like
Drake and Josh, absolutely.
Drake and Josh is so good, so good.
It was again Pokemon.
Pokemon was a good.
Really enjoyed
I used
getting
to have
up early on a Saturday morning to watch Pokemon.
Well, there was a website that had back when there were about 750
Yes.
episodes. There's probably way more now, but they had every episode on.
Yes, because
there.
I used to watch them to try and catch up, and I realized I was never going to, and I gave up.
Yeah, I gave up pretty swiftly. Not that Pokemon episodes weren't good, but no one just has that kind of time.
No.
So I guess we'll do one more little top. I'm just curious, what is your favorite TV show of all time? TV series. We'll finish on this.
Ever?
Yeah, I have my answer.
Well, I really like Merlin.
Let's go with the top 3.
Um,
Because Merlin's probably in my top 3. Yeah. Shall I start with mine?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't, because at the same time as you, I'm trying to think of it on the spot, but I think Sherlock deserves a mention, whether it gets in my top 3 or not. And also, I haven't seen a lot of TV shows. I haven't seen Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones. I haven't seen an episode of that. You know, all this other stuff. So this is just personal to me. Deal with it. Like there's series like Big Bang Theory, Light Relief.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it in the top, but I enjoy putting it on in the background. Family Guy, I've watched pretty much every episode except I think season 18, and I do find them actually hilarious. So I think, you know
I've
what,
never watched an
considering
episode of Family Guy from start to finish.
I might put Family Guy in at 3. I love Family Guy so much. I think, and I do have the DVDs actually, but they're in the garage for when I move. But number 1, probably Prison Break.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of Prison Break. That made me cry. The season finale of season
Everything
4.
makes you cry.
Yeah, true. To be fair, but Prison Break is it's the one series I wish I could forget and watch again. You know, there's people that like a lot of people say with me. You know, I'm fortunate to have never watched Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones. I could watch them all and enjoy them as someone who's never seen them, which you can obviously only do once. I wish I could do that with Prison Break. You haven't heard of it? You need to watch it. It's so good.
I would say what's it about, but I'm assuming breaking out of prison
Yeah,
or breaking into prison.
both.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's so good. And
Wait,
it's
so your top.
good.
So you've got Family Guy, Prison Break.
Prison Break
What's
is
your
1.
middle?
Family Guy's probably 3.
Is it going to say like Fresh Meat or The In-Betweeners?
Well, see, here's the thing. I've watched Fresh Meat, and I'm actually rewatching the series again, but it's kind of like more like a light relief thing. And also, Fresh Meat gave me the university-style experience without having to go. So that's why I think I always liked it. But Merlin is amazing. I really like that. So maybe it would be Prison Break, Merlin, Family Guy, with big props to In-Betweeners, Fresh Meat. I just forgot The Office.
I've never
Oh
watched
my
it.
goodness, The Office. I really was very immersed in Merlin. I think the reason I put Prison Break in Merlin 1 and 2 is because Prison Break episodes are an hour and 20, and Merlin episodes are 40 minutes, whereas Big Bang Theory, Family Guy,
I would say Sherlock's like 2 hours.
they're
per
all like
episode.
20 minutes, so they're just like light relief.
I mean, I'm quite offended you haven't put Disenchantment anywhere on this list because
It's an honourable, funny
I would
mention.
say that's an honourable mention. That I've watched Disenchantment 3 times, the whole series 3 times, but there's only 2 series.
Yeah.
So
I see. I think because I feel like I prefer. Well, Merlin's different. Once you get into Merlin, it's really, really good. So I think I'd probably go Prison Break 1, Merlin 2 if I'm in the mood. 3 though, I really love Family Guy, but The Office is great. I also like Afterlife from Ricky Gervais. I watched that series, but I think there's only 1 season at the moment. 2 is coming out soon, or maybe 2's already out and I've seen it. But Prison Break is just 1. That's the one that I know. I love that show so much. So yeah, that's me.
I mean, okay, so Disenchantment I'd say has got an honourable mention.
It's honourable for me.
And if we're going reality TV, I've watched every single episode of RuPaul's Drag Race.
I used to watch that.
So I've actually watched every episode. So after they put the missing one on Netflix, I've now watched every single episode.
Right.
So I'd probably have to say that just because I've watched every episode and I really enjoy
Yeah.
it. Then Once Upon a Time was really good, but I kind of got bored at about season 5.
It's a lot of seasons.
I'd watched over 100 episodes before I stopped.
Imagine a Harry Potter TV show.
I mean, well, Shadowhunters TV series, the movie was awful. So the TV series was really good, and I had such a crush on the guy playing Alec, who I kind of had a crush on in the books anyway as a character, and he is gay as a character. So so I kind of, but then I'm like, oh, do I just like that series because there's a really hot guy who's shirtless quite a lot and has tattoos? Maybe. So I think.
I also honourable mention.
It
was like a final top 3 from you. I'll give an honourable mention to Pretty Little Liars. I stopped watching that because it was something I watched with my ex-girlfriend. So then when we broke up, I stopped watching it. But I think I might restart that series. Glee as well.
I've actually never watched a full episode of Glee.
It makes me feel so good.
I'm a gay man who's 22 and I've never watched a full episode of Glee.
I think you'd like it. Glee makes me feel really happy for the most part. It's a really feel-good series.
So I think, my top ones would be... Again, I actually quite enjoy Doctor Who, but I've not watched all of them yet.
So I don't think I've seen a full episode of that.
I'm catching up on Matt Smith. Because I've watched all of Eccleston.
Because he looks like Josh Ashby.
That's not why, but no, it's because I've watched all of Eccleston, all of Tennant, all of Capaldi.
Okay. Yeah,
and Matt Smith was just in the middle. So I've watched all of the Amy Pond and I'm on to Clara. So I'm nearly caught up. And then I'm going to start the Jodie Whittaker one because I finished that.
So top 3.
Top 3. Merlin.
Okay, big.
RuPaul's Drag Race.
Okay.
I really enjoyed Lock and Key, you know.
So what's your number 1?
This is what I say, I don't know.
Because, for me, it was, clear. And I love all the other shows, but Prison Break, almost would say it's life-changing. It consumed me. And I don't get like that with TV shows.
Well, that's the thing. I can't think of a TV show that's consumed me.
Yeah.
So I'd probably...
Sherlock? Is that in there?
It's great, but,
It's not. Top 3
Elementary, I've watched every single episode. Really like that. Watch it with Dad as well. So I'd probably put that in the top. I don't think I've got a top 1, though. I would say it's a mixture. Collective of... I'd say my top ones are Merlin, Elementary, and Drag Race. Probably in my top 3.
Okay.
I don't know what order they're in.
Nice.
And then, honourable mentions are things like Disenchantment, American Dragon.
I feel like it's hard to put things that are primarily comedy in the top 3 because they don't stand out in your mind as this big thing.
Yeah, big dramatic.
Like The Office, Family Guy for me, Big Bang Theory as well.
Actually, no, I'd say the top series I've watched, it's a bit random. It was only 8 episodes, but I really enjoyed it. It was actually, this is the nerd in me now, it was Troy, Fall of a City. Mm-hmm. So it was, it's the Iliad, basically. But not really, because the Iliad started episode 4. Okay. But, so it was the whole thing starting right on with Helen of Sparta and falling in love with Paris and kind of the gods and goddesses. It was really interesting because Artemis was albino and Zeus was black. Yeah. And there was and casting choices were really weird. And the guy who played Robin Hood in the BBC Robin Hood played Menelaus, and it was all very weird. Yeah. Seeing these different people, and Achilles was bold and very bisexual because it was just really interesting. It was a really interesting series. Fair enough. And I love that. Oh, Miranda. That's what I was going to say. Miranda. I've watched that at least 3 times.
I've only seen it just over the shoulder.
It's really funny.
That's your Family Guy.
It's my kind. Yeah, it was my kind of humor. Yeah. She's basically a camp man, but a tall woman, who does awkward things and
it's kind of like you.
Falls over a lot.
Basically.
I do feel very related to Miranda, and I think also because Lottie, best friend, just saying. Now she can't yell at me. Not that she'll yell at me or anything. Shout out to Lottie. She, I think, really likes Miranda as well, so that helps because we relate to that. Oh, Smash. Now we talked about Lottie. Smash. Okay, now here we go. Smash is definitely my favourite. There we go. Smash is my favourite. Okay. Because season 1, brilliant. Season 2 has Jeremy Jordan and Andy Mientas in it. And I've seen both of them live, by the way. I have a nice big signed Jeremy poster over there. Because I'm in love with both of them. Yep. And I'm also in love with Andy Mientas' husband, which is really awkward. But, if I met the 2 of them together, I'd cry. But
have a date?
Absolutely. Honestly. I know that I'm waiting till marriage, but, anyway. Moving on. things can be flexible.
Waiting till marriage.
Flexible. Smash. There we go.
Smash. Okay. Smash, Prison Break. So those are our 2 top picks.
Seasons,
Smash, Prison Break. So Prison Break, I won't stand this too long because you don't know really what I'm talking about, but essentially it had 4 main seasons and it concluded sort of nicely. Ooh, and then the 5th season came back. Hustle is good, to be fair. 5th season of Prison Break came back 10 years later maybe, and they actually it got a lot of flack, which understood because it's always going to get stick if something that's perceived to have ended well and comes back. It's another thing that drops Merlin down a bit. I don't know what I was expecting for a good ending.
The ending was awful.
I don't know what they could have done, but
not that.
But Prison Break, they brought back a 5th season and they somehow resurrected the storyline from season 4. And yes, it had its critics, but as a Prison Break lover, I really enjoyed it. Not as much as the originals, and season 1 is the best. It's so good. But yeah, so Smash, Prison Break. If you haven't seen them, by all means, go and
see any
watch that.
show that we've mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Hustle is brilliant.
Hustle is great. Hustle is really, really good. But anyway, I think we can wrap it up here. A little recommendation sort of podcast. Definitely drop your comments down below. I'll be reading them. Tom will be reading them.
I love reading them.
So this has been our longest twin episode.
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah.
we went from like religion to movies. Is that all we spoke about?
We talked about how you were chubby,
Chubby, yeah, chubby me.
and then chubby bunny challenge. You know, kind of.
Oh yeah,
That
that's the thing with podcasts.
it
It's
progressed.
segues. All you need really.
Speaking of segue,
is
Paul Blart,
one-
Mall Cop.
It's not.
It's
I
not a
was-
TV series, but as a film.
Yeah, as a film, pretty funny. Like I could watch that again and again. But yeah, that's all you need is like one talking point, and then it rolls. So podcasts can be really intimidating as a concept, but then when you sit down and you start talking, especially in real life, obviously now the majority of podcasts are having to be done online,
Yeah.
and it's difficult to know sometimes, especially with a slight internet delay, when someone else is going to talk because you can't read their body language or the flow of the conversation. So a lot of people are interrupting each other nowadays, but we're interrupting sometimes, but it's in a more conversational way. Rather than people kind of both talking and then they both sort of stop and then they're both like, yeah. Whereas when you're talking here, worst comes to worst, be like, shut up. But yes, that is going to do it for this episode. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So I'm going to have
See
to
you
edit
again next
this.
week.
It's going to be uploaded in 5 hours' time. So I'm going to edit it, render it, and do all that good stuff.
Oh, I thought it was 4 o'clock. I was like,
No, that's 24-hour clock, Gab.
it's
2:51. So yes, we'll see you. I don't know if I'll do a solo podcast before the next one on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll remember. Do another twin one on Wednesday. I'm sure we will. Always find a way, whether
Susie can
that's
message
Susie
you.
reminding me or whoever in the comments, for instance, then we'll do that. So yes, leave a like, subscribe, turn on the bell so you don't miss one of these.
We'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.
Very soon.
Boom.
Is that right?
For my main channel, yeah. Crushed it.
Crushed it.